Just like literally showing up for yourself. I think you're at the start of what could be a life-changing journey. My name is Nikki Maritz, and I will be your host today. And I'm the CEO of IBTC, the leading tuition provider in this space. IBTC is renowned for its remarkable service and pass rates. So with me today is Robert, our senior sales advisor, who's also an ACCA expert. Hi, Robert. Thanks for joining us.
Nikki, I'm happy to be here. A warm welcome, everyone.
Fantastic. You're a little bit on the soft side, Robert.
Okay, thank you. I'll just adjust my sound here. Thanks for that.
Yeah, fantastic. And I'm so excited to introduce you to our guest speaker, Nadine Kader from URBA. Nadine is the Director of Education and Transformation. Welcome, Nadine.
Thank you very much, Nikki and the IBTC team. It's really a great pleasure to be here, and I look forward to an engaging session.
Awesome. So tell me, Nadine, before we get started, who is URBA and why have you joined our ACCA Open Day today?
Well, I think thanks for inviting me. I think it's an important step for URBA to be in the room with this very new and exciting approach to audit. So URBA is the regulatory body for registering auditors and audit firms in South Africa. We are there by virtue of a statute, so therefore we're the only body that can register registered auditors. And of course, the ACCA route is now available to join us as URBA in promoting access into the audit profession. Thanks, Nikki.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We're excited and honored to have you here. It's a big present for us. To everybody else, you are welcome to put your questions in the chat. We will leave all the questions until the end if we can manage that. Sometimes we're so excited we just respond, but we want to make sure that everybody is listening to our presentation and don't get distracted. Eventually nobody's listening to Nadine, myself, or Robert anymore. Everybody's just busy in the chat. So by all means chat, but we're going to try and not respond if we can sit on our hands. Okay, so before we get into details around how ACCA members can now become auditors in South Africa, we will first do a quick introduction to IBTC and then the ACCA course, and then together with Nadine, we will then explain the audit route in more detail. So I'm going to kick off by just saying, who is IBTC? I can tell you about our accreditation with the local and international bodies and the fact that we are the only private gold approved learning partner with ACCA in South Africa. Sorry, somebody's just sent a record request through. I can tell you we've been around since 2006 and that more than 15,000 students have entrusted us with their exam prep. So I can tell you all of that, but I won't bore you with that. What I think is important when you look for a tuition provider is I think you need to know about our philosophy, our hearts, and who are we and where we come from. So for us, we worked out what is our purpose, why are we here, what is the business purpose. And we are in the business of enhancing careers and enriching lives. And we are very sure that our business purpose is to get students to become qualified. So once you've signed up with us, it becomes our job to ensure that you pass your exam. Every week, internally, we measure our pass rates at a company-wide team meeting, and it's really the one number that we consider to be our true north. So we like to say internally, our job is to get you to pass first time or stick with you until you do.
One thing that makes us different, though. One thing that makes us different.
Robert, can you just check your sound there? I think I hear you talking. It's either put up your sound at your computer or maybe you want to put your camera off and then just see if you can speak in the mic.
Okay, thank you. All right, is it better now, Nikki?
Yeah, you can speak nice and loud.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. So just adding on what you were saying, I was saying one thing that makes us different here at IBTC is that we use BPP study material. And there are a lot of other material providers out there, but we believe that BPP is the best. We follow closely their study methodology, and you'll see why. So here we compare the global ACCA pass rate per subject against the pass rates achieved by all students who use BPP resources. And this obviously includes IBTC students. So traditionally, advanced audit and assurance, advanced performance management, and advanced financial management are known as very tricky subjects. So as you can see, however, our students perform between 20% and 30% better than the global average. But the truth is, you are 48% more likely to pass with BPP and IBTC. A lot of this is driven by the quality of the questions and the structure of the courses.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think that because we frame what we do around what BPP in the UK does, we get their course structures and we get their resources, and they are some of the best tuition providers in the world. So we like to benchmark ourselves against the global standard. Okay, so let's see. Let me just see, where am I? I want to have a look at why you should study ACCA. So ACCA is the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. You might know that. The ACCA qualification makes you a chartered certified accountant with international recognition. So think about that, a chartered certified accountant with international recognition. And some of you sitting here today might wonder whether ACCA is the right professional qualification for you. And there's a long list of reasons why you should study ACCA. And personally, for me, my favorite reasons are, and I'm thinking, I've got children myself. Would I want them to study this, considering the global context, the South African context? Why would they want to do an ACCA qualification? So for me, it's recognized worldwide. So I want to say, Robert, how many countries have you been to? So you told me earlier you've probably been to around 5 or 7 countries. So ACCA is recognized in 179 countries around the world. In 179 countries around the world, you can show up with your ACCA qualification and they'll recognize you. And accounting is just one of those professions that enable you to work anywhere in the world, I feel. And it just becomes so much easier when you show up with a qualification that's recognized globally, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely, Nikki. My personal favorite, though, is that the flexibility which comes with ACCA. So you can organize how and when you want to study to suit your own situation. If you want to complete ACCA quickly as possible, you can study full-time with a tuition provider. Say you have an existing finance degree, you can get exemptions from certain ACCA modules. But many of our students are already working accountants, but they want to study ACCA either to stand out or progress in their careers. They study part-time with us at their own pace, but some come to classes, others do distance learning, and others do online courses. It's very, very flexible, Nikki.
It is, hey? And the other thing for me, Robert, is that there are around 7,400 employers around the world that say they prefer ACCA. And the ACCA qualifications, I don't know if you know this, they are developed with employers. So employers, when they employ somebody who's got an ACCA, they're totally confident that they know what they're going to get when they employ an ACCA member. And for them, ACCA is really like a seal of approval, and they just know this person's technical ability because they know ACCA and they help develop it. So it also helps you to get that job, right? Get you
Yes.
into the interview. It helps you to get the job, but it also helps you to get that promotion. And for me, the truth is that you need a formal qualification if you want a career in finance, right? And if you want to progress to a senior management position. It's probably true for any profession, really. Isn't it, Robert? You need a qualification to get somewhere, right?
Oh, absolutely true, Nikki.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I think what I'm going to do now is just look at an overview of the qualification and see where you need to get started. I just one second. Um, I want to look at an overview of the qualification where you get started. So I think the best way for me to explain it, can you see me drawing on the screen?
Yes.
Yes, fantastic. Okay. So there are three components here. You can see the blue component, you can see the red component. The red component is what I call, or what ACCA calls, the professional qualification. So most people start at the bottom and they work themselves all the way to the top. This blue section, the way that I refer to the blue section, is the open entry. If you cannot start at the bottom of the professional qualification, you do this blue open entry, and this allows you entry into the professional qualification. You can see that at each. Okay, so I just want to talk about the levels quickly. Sorry, I just want to see what's going on here on my screen. Okay, so you've got ACCA Fundamentals and you've got ACCA Strategic Professional. That's what those levels are called. And within the fundamentals, they're basically two subsets: applied knowledge modules, BT, MA, and FA, and applied skills modules. And this is just, you might think, oh, I know all of this, I know the qualification, but we're just going to talk about, you will start at applied skills and you will start at applied knowledge, and then you know what we mean. And then when Nadine speaks, she might talk about the essentials modules and the options, which options you should take. So anyway, so I'm just going through this terminology a little bit. Okay, so what did I want to say? In each level, you can see their subsections. You can see that they are what they call exit qualifications. So if you've done the applied knowledge module, for instance, and you finish there, you get a diploma in accounting and business. Then if you carry on and you do the applied skills module, you get the advanced diploma in accounting and business. And why this matters for me personally is that when you kind of do an academic qualification, I know a lot of people who've done a 3-year degree and they're one subject short of getting their degree. And with something like an ACCA qualification, you get awards along the way. So when you have an ACCA diploma in accounting and business, it's a globally recognized qualification, and nobody can ever take it away from you. And if you start working and later you think, actually, I want something better because I want to progress, you come back and you carry on. You'll always have it. Okay, so that's just a little bit how this works. So then what I want to explain is that, let me just see if I can get rid of all these marks. All the marks. Okay, so what I want to explain is that most people start at the fundamentals level, and you start with BT, MA, and FA. Robert, what is that?
Business and technology,
Business and
management accounting, and
Sorry, the
financial
name
accounting.
change. Management accounting and financial accounting and business and technology, because they brought the technology bit in. So most people start there. Graduates typically start at applied knowledge level. Graduates. Okay, so if you've graduated, you typically start here. Graduates in accounting typically start at applied skills level. How cool is that? So you'll start here, so you will typically be exempted from that. You'll start at applied skills. Robert will explain this in a little bit more detail. I just want to get the gist of it out of the way. Then if you don't, if you're not a graduate, then you can always enter, or you don't meet the matric entry requirements, then you can do the foundations level. One thing I want to show you. Sorry, I'm a little bit disorientated trying to write on the screen and trying to remember what I want to write. Okay. So if you do the foundations in accountancy, you get this one, then you move on, you do this one, you move on and you do this one. When you've completed this, you actually don't start at the bottom here. You immediately get exempted from this and you start at applied skills level. And that's why this arrow is here and it's not at the bottom. But fear not. If you understood nothing of what I mumbled, then Robert is going to cover it in more detail.
Okay, so
Yes, you go.
Just to add, Nikki, thank you so much for
Mm.
giving a nice explanation there, but I'll just add some flesh on what you have just
Yeah,
introduced. All right.
you do
So
that.
one thing to note, very important,
Mm.
ACCA does not give any exemptions on the strategic professional level. So that's the top box there. ACCA will only give you a maximum of 9 exemptions, which are the fundamentals level that you mentioned. So one might probably be curious to see what exemptions they qualify to get. You can go and check it on the ACCA exemptions portal to see exactly where you are likely to start. But remember, ACCA will only confirm your exemptions once you have registered and paid for your ACCA registration fee. So
Cool.
here are some just examples of what exemptions you are likely to get. Let's say you have a matric certificate, your entry point will be the foundations level. If you have matric with the university exemptions, you enter it applied knowledge. If you have matric with
No,
accountancy
wait,
at
you're
higher
going
grade,
matric with exemptions. What did you say, matric with exemptions?
yes, matric with university exemptions, you enter the
Yeah,
applied knowledge.
yeah.
If you have matric with accountancy at higher grade, you also
Mm-hmm.
enter it applied knowledge.
Yeah.
If you have a BCom, you enter it applied knowledge. However, you might get 1 or 2 possible exemptions on that applied knowledge level. So maybe they
I
might
see.
exempt you BT or MA and FM, just depending with the exemptions team.
So with the BCom the same as if you done matric, but you will be exempted from a few subjects.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Nikki.
Okay.
With
Cool.
a BCom with accountancy, though, you are going to
Mhm.
enter at the applied skills level.
Okay. This is the one we're looking for, BCom with accounting.
Accountancy. And apart from that, they might also exempt you the corporate and business law module, meaning that
Okay.
you only be left with 5 modules in the applied skills and then just jump straight to do the strategic professional.
Cool. If I have a other professional qualification like chartered management, like SEMA or something?
Okay. A SEMA qualified person who enter ACCA at the strategic professional level, meaning that they're only doing 4 subjects and they're ACCA qualified, Nikki.
Okay. Okay, so that makes sense because you said nobody will ever be exempted at strategic professional level. So
Correct.
if I've got a SEMA, I will also start at strategic professional level. Okay, that makes total sense.
So here you can see that information in a table. So if you want to screenshot it, there it is. You can just screenshot it for your own references.
Okay, fantastic. Makes total sense. Okay, so what I like, I might not know a lot about exemptions, but I love this, the competency framework. This is what the ACCA qualification is based on, and this shows you what skills and competence you get from the qualification. And why I like this slide is that it clearly, for me, shows the difference between a professional and an academic qualification. The competency framework really integrates your knowledge like just more in a more practical manner. It focuses on application more so for me than on knowledge. So you can see here we've got your technical skills. Where are my technical skills? Financial management, bit of reporting, bit of management accounting, taxation, audit and assurance, all those technical skills on the one side. And then on this side, you get things like data, strategy and innovation, leadership and management, stakeholder relationship, advisory and consultancy. So this shows you nicely that it's a well-rounded qualification. So because this is the competency framework for the qualification, your PER or practical experience requirement or what experience you need to prove is similar. This is also the experience that you need to prove. And okay, so I want to point out just in the center, in the heart of it, you can see the ethics and professional skills module. Ethics and professional skills, especially ethics, is so important in our line of work, don't you think? And when we do, in our class, when we do ethics in this qualification, we use realistic business simulations to teach you ethics and professionalism. So the whole qualification, because it is so application based, it's very hands-on and real life. And the exam as well, you'll see it's a very real life exam. Oh, this reflects what I did last year and on my job. So that is great. Then I just want to come back and start just a little bit on the foundations in accountancy. So the first two subjects, if you're going to start here, you see is financial accounting and management accounting. It earns you the ACCA diploma in accountancy. As I said, at level 2, you do 2 more subjects. It earns you the diploma in accountancy and business at level 3, and you do 3 more subjects, and you earn that same qualification at level 4. As I mentioned earlier, ethics form an important part of accountancy. So there is an ethics module called Foundations in Professionalism. It's just something you complete online, and you have to complete that in order to get any of the certificates in the foundation level. So you do these subjects, and then somewhere along the line, you do your ethics module online. It's just so that there's nobody out there with an ACCA qualification who claims they didn't know there were ethics involved. Okay. But having said that, truth be told, in South Africa, most people start here. Okay, so this was at the fundamentals level, and you can remember where that fits in. This fits in here at the bottom. Okay, so we're going to look at this qualification, the fundamentals level. Okay, so at fundamentals level, what are we looking at? As I said, if you've come through the foundations level, you will be exempted from business and technology, management accounting, and finance accounting. You will be exempted from these 3. I like these applied knowledge subjects. It's foundational. It is just such a, well, I shouldn't say foundational, I should say fundamental. It's fundamental. It's just such a good introduction to the world of finance and accounting. It's just, for me, it's got all the essential accounting techniques, and it's such a good base for the next level. So I always like it when students do that, because I know there's a very good foundation. And your subjects, like Robert said, would be business and technology, management accounting, and financial accounting. So just these exams are all computer-based, and you can take them at any time of the year. You study with us, you say, I'm ready to write the exam, you sit through the exam, you pass, you move on. They're assessed with multiple choice questions, and they're 2 hours long. They are fundamental, but they're not a walk in the park. And the thing is, because it's a professional qualification, you'll be required not to just memorize the content, but to actually just show that you understand the content and that you can apply it. Okay, then we get to the serious stuff. So at the applied, oh no, wait, yeah, am I at the serious stuff yet? Oh, okay, no, yes, when it starts getting interesting. At the applied skills level, we really start getting into it, and here we develop your finance skill that you're going to need in a career as a professional accountant, really in any sector. And the applied skills level builds on the existing knowledge and understanding that you've got, that you've already developed. And in this level, there are 6 subjects and 6 exams at this level. It's really here where you get TX is for taxation. There are 2 variants. Hey, Robert, there's the SA variant. We
And
just
the
had a
UK
very
variant.
high pass rate for this. And I
Yes.
think, is there a global or a UK variant? A global variant.
It's a UK one, Nikki.
Oh, scratch that. UK variant. Okay. So you must pick the right variant for that subject, but that's your tax subject. This is your financial management subject, your performance management subject, your audit and assurance, your financial reporting, and your law subject. Robert, is law also, is that a global law, South African law?
2 variants also, SA law and global law.
SA law and global law. Okay, fantastic. So what I want to say here, okay, so after you have then completed the ethics and professional skills, you will then move on to, you will get your advanced diploma in accounting and business, and you will then move on to your strategic professional. And at that point, it gets even more exciting. This is the final level that you need to do to secure your ACCA qualification. You have 2 essential modules that everybody must do. They are, as a business person, for me, the 2 subjects that I love the most. It's a strategic business reporting, where you can see how the business is doing, and strategic business leadership, 2 of my best subjects. And it's because here we really start preparing you for a future leadership position. The SPL one I really like. It enables you to operate strategically by using your unique blend of your technical ability, your ethics, and your professional skills. So all of those things then come together. Okay, so the subject are, as I said, strategic business reporting, strategic business strategic business leader essentials. And then you have to pick two out of the following. So you've got advanced financial management, advanced audit and assurance, advanced performance management, and advanced taxation.
Just to add the best way, Nikki,
yes.
while you're there,
Yeah.
just to give some additional tips on how to overcome the strategic professional. I'll give you a scenario. Say if you are thinking of doing the advanced audit and assurance, for example, then it's best to start by doing the strategic business reporting. Then do advanced and audit and assurance and end off with the strategic business reporting. If your 4 subjects chosen to do includes advanced audit and assurance, then start with the strategic business leader, then strategic business
No,
reporting.
Robert, I think, sorry. I think wait, no, wait, sorry. I think,
Okay.
did you say start with strategic business reporting, then do audit and assurance, and then your third subject, and the last one is strategic business leader? Is that your recommendation?
Okay, let me start again while you draw. You can erase and
Okay.
then draw as I'll be talking. So
Yeah.
let's say if you are thinking of taking advanced audit and assurance, right?
Yeah.
It's best to start with the strategic business leader.
Okay. Oh, sorry. My mistake. Yeah.
Yes. Then you do advanced audit and assurance as the second
Yes.
one.
Yes.
Then you come to do strategic business reporting.
Okay. Okay. Fantastic. And then the fourth one that you. Okay.
That you
Okay.
choose.
Totally makes sense.
And another
Yes.
scenario,
Yeah.
if your subjects chosen does not include a triple A, then
Yeah. You don't
rather
want to do
start
so.
off with SBL, strategic business leader,
Yeah.
then do strategic business reporting, and then you select
Okay.
2 optionals.
Okay. Okay. And if you don't do triple A, you typically don't do this one, then you typically will do these two.
The 2.
Okay. 1,
Yes.
2, 3, 4. Okay.
Okay.
Nice and technical, Robert.
And last tip, if you can
Yeah. Yeah.
allow
Good.
me. If you
Yeah.
have been exempted up to the strategic professional level, say you are a CIMA qualified, like what you was asking
Yeah.
me.
You've now had to do nothing of this. None.
Yes. So if you're exempted up until the strategic professional,
You
you should
start.
know that there is a fair amount of assumed knowledge at play. So you have to make sure that there are no knowledge gaps whatsoever as you be entering your strategic professional.
Okay. Okay. So there's quite a bit to think of before you know where you can start, and once you know what you must do.
Correct. Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Sounds very technical and it's a lot of information for new students.
Yes, Nikki. That's why we have consultants at IBTC. Very knowledgeable, I must say. So
Okay.
what to consider? There are so many choices you have to put into consideration before you start. Number one, you should know if you are at the right place. You should also know the best subjects that you are going to be choosing, and you should do those subjects in the right order in order for you to pass the first time. I'm happy to receive phone calls from everyone who is here tomorrow morning to answer and discuss everything with regards to what we are
Okay.
discussing now.
Okay. 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 Yes, because people are always very interested in what is my starting point. And once, like exemptions, you talk about exemptions, everybody comes alive. And then once they know which subjects they need to do, they want to know which ones to start with. Okay.
Yes.
So then lastly, you need 3 years practical experience. It's not on, is it here? Oh, it is. I want to say it's not on the slide. 3 years practical experience. And once you have done that, you are then ACCA qualified. So that 3 year practical experience, it is called practical experience requirement. It is called PER, but sometimes it also comes by another name. So if you can just remember PER, practical experience, where it fits in, because Nadine is going to talk about it, then I'll say, oh, it's very similar to PER, and then you'll know what I'm talking about. For PER, so now you need 3 years experience. You don't have to wait until you finish your studies and now you're going to do 3 years practical experience. If you've had experience from 5 years ago, it all counts. And if you had experience as the tennis club's treasurer, it all counts. Okay. So you can use your experience that you've gained before you've registered with ACCA. or the experience you're gaining while you are studying. Just remember that you will still need to get this prior experience or any experience signed off by a practical experience supervisor at the employer where you gained that experience, or somebody who can vouch for it at the tennis club if you like. There's a lot of people who have a lot of questions about PER, but we're not going to deal with PER in this session. So we will have other sessions that we're going to go into more detail. Today, we're going to focus on the new thing, and it is the newest SA audit qualification. This, let me see, SA audit qualification. SA audit qualification, yes. Just looked like SACWA for a second, but it's not. It's really the exciting part of our presentation today, so sit close and listen. To become a registered auditor in South Africa with ACCA, you need to do this new ACCA South African audit qualification. Nadine, can you tell us more about this? How do you become a registered auditor in South Africa?
Thanks very much, Nikki, and it's been very interesting so far. And what is interesting is the questions on exemptions, and why that's interesting. Nikki, I am going off script for a second. Why that's interesting is because one of the reasons it was important for the RBA or IRBA, and it is actually in our Act, to accredit more than one professional body that leads to the audit qualification, was to provide additional routes into audit, additional access routes. So I'm very excited by those exemption questions, and I know, Nikki, you and your team are going to be extremely busy fielding the questions. But what Nikki has illustrated, which you may have missed with all the technical information, is that there are different entry routes into the ACCA qualification, as well as exit routes. So the qualification is called broadly open access, in the sense that you can come in where you fit in. And I think that's very important for the South African market, because there's a great interest in finance generally, and then people look around to see, well, what does that mean? What job will I do in the end? But let me come back on script and let me focus on why I'm here. The IRBA accredited ACCA on the 6th of July 2023. We then spent a bit of time with them figuring out all the practical aspects, and we've now arrived at on 1 April 2024 with what we call the South African audit qualification. So it's just really music to our ears to be able to say that. The ACCA South Africa audit qualification. You'll all be aware that up to now, the only route into being a registered auditor has been the SAICA route. So in short, our ACCA members have a route to the registered audited status in South Africa. And Nikki, there are many audit firms interested in this route. I'll cover some of that later. And the ACCA has been very active with engaging with employers to move them from their current employer accreditation status into the employer audit status. So previously, ACCA has been in South Africa for a very long time, and people would qualify as general accountants and therefore could do work as accounting officers and so on. But for the first time, they can be auditors. So in 3 basic steps, this is what you need to do. So firstly, you will need to complete your ACCA exams. And of course, this is what we call the academic component. So that's what's just been explained to you. And what's been explained to you is the different routes to access it, different exit routes. Of course, we want you to consider first ACCA, but by being registered, by being accredited by IRBA, when you complete your qualification, right at the end with those last 4 subject choices, we want you to start thinking, do you want to go into business, corporate, or do you want to go into audit? I'll cover that a bit later. Everybody does do the accounting professional development program, and you record it in what Nikki called the PER, your practical experience record. For the audit, that of course has audit competencies, which I'll also cover later. When you've done step 1 and 2, ACCA then signs off that you have the ACCA South African Audit Qualification. You are then eligible to register on our ADP program, the Audit Development Program, also to be covered a little bit later. So, step 1, you need to make the right subject choices. So, right up to that essentials module, if you can take your little arrow there, Nikki, you haven't had to make any choices. Typically, if I understand correctly, that red block is 9 modules, 9 exams. So I've seen a lot of questions about BComs. So the exemptions work 2 ways, either individually or that ACCA has already exempt that course from that university in any case. But typically those 9 exemptions could resemble similar subjects that you may have in your BCom. But you don't have to choose anything there. Those are the 9 subjects. Then if we go to the strategic professional level, the first 2 essential modules are also compulsory. So up to now, you haven't had to make any subject choices. ACCA is grooming you to become a business leader, be able to do business reporting. Then right at the end, you now have 4 subjects to choose. For the audit route, Nikki, please put the cross over APM. For the audit route, there is no choice to do APM. Your first choice, your first other compulsory for the audit route in South Africa is your AAA, Advanced Audit and Assurance. So now you have 3 compulsories at the strategic level. Okay? Your only choice that you're going to now make for the ACCA South African Audit Qualification is whether you're going to do Advanced Financial Management or Advanced Tax. And that choice is really dependent on where you are in your career, what you'd like to specialize in. It may very well be a decision that is combined with what your employer or the audit firm believes the direction you should take. So that makes it easy for you. I also want to say that while you're doing the ACCA qualification, your decision to do audit really only needs to be made at that essentials module stage. So while you're deciding, you're not sure, as you're going through the 9 applied knowledge modules, applied skills modules, your SPL, your SPR, you're fine. All the decisions have already been made for you. And now you're probably at a stage in your career, in your studies, where you think, right, do I want to move into being a registered auditor? Then you take the AAA, and then after that you choose ATX or AFM.
Yes. I think there's one thing that if you think you're going to go this route, this advanced the what's the South African audit qualification route, then when you get here, you must just for tax, you must choose the SA variant, and for law do the SA variant.
Correct.
So
and the advanced tax also the SA variant.
Yes. Yes. And then this one, the SA variant.
Oh, thank you for that. Yes, there is actually a choice there. That's correct.
But most people in South Africa pick the SA variants anyway, because they're in South Africa, they want to work in South Africa. But I don't want you to get to this point, this line that Nadine spoke about, and then realize, but it's also not the end of the world, because I've had a student who didn't do the tax SA variant, so they just came back and they did that. And then they were okay again.
Yes. So those with the BComs probably have some of those modules already included at the South African level. Right, so that's the academic component. So let's move then to, now that you've completed the academic component, you are now eligible to take up that's the ACCA exams. You then do the professional development program. We also call that the PDP in urban speak. And basically, it's your 36 months. People say 3 years. Old term is articles. But basically, you are now needing to sit in an audit firm registered with the IRBA as an audit firm. And you are spending 36 months doing general accounting, general audit, and also specialized audit. So the IRBA specifies the types of audit you need to do, the level of auditing experience you need as a trainee in that 36 months. And that is all managed through the 9 audit competencies that are specified by us as the RBA, and also in line with ACCA's practical audit component. I don't know if I'm at the next slide already.
No,
Maybe.
let me just see what's here. Yeah, so this is the PER, the 36 months, and I think
Yeah,
that
it's spelled
gives
out
you
in the next one, yes. The audit development program is something that is managed directly by my team, the audit development team, and we explain what that looks like in the upcoming slides. So far you've done your academic component, then you're doing your 36 months ADP, and then we now move to the 80. Yeah, I think you can move to the next slide.
I think that slide is missing, but can you tell me more about the audit development program? What is that?
So the audit development program, firstly, you need to complete your ACCA South African audit qualification. That means you are eligible to be an ACCA, correct, an ACCA member, but you also have the right exams and the right practical experience to move on to the IRBA ADP. The audit development program is a specialist program only for audit. It's 18 months, and it can only be done at an employer that is registered with ACCA as an ACCA employer audit. As I said, ACCA does have a number of employers registered with them, accredited with them, and they're now moving those employers into a status called ACCA Approved Employer Audit. A lot of those employers are already registered with the RBA because they are already training on the ICCA audit program. And then what ACCA has done, I don't know if these are in other slides, but I know what I need to say here. What ACCA has done to assist employers and audit firms that are interested in seeing how the ACCA program will work for audit. They've got a digital platform that they worked with LTS, where they've listed the ICCA audit competencies and how that training looks. They've aligned it to the ACCA competencies and how ACCA's PDP looks, so that employers can see that it's mostly aligned and that they are therefore more inclined to take on ACCA trainees.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're making it easy for employers. So you'll be aware that the Big Four were first off the block, right as early as, I think, February 2024, before the practical stuff was even ready. A number of the audit firms had registered trainees as ACCA trainees, moving them up towards getting that PDP for the audit competencies. I think ACCA is currently sitting at actual registered trainees at about 110 and about 15 accredited employers, with quite a few. I think it's almost 8 or so in the wings. So it's quite a lot of work for the employer to move to employer audit, because they have to prove that they're able to give practical experience in the audit.
Now, can I ask you, on the audit development program, do I have to write an exam? Are there classes? What is the program? Is it just work?
Good question. Yeah. So it's not a program that you can register for with IBTC or any other training provider, because it's not a typical training program. So there's no study material, there's no exams, you can't spot for a question or anything like that. Once you register on the ADP, it means you are sitting in an audit firm. You're probably moving towards a senior audit position like audit manager, and you're working on actual audits on a day-to-day basis. Real clients, real audit matters, real application of the international audit standards, the ISAs, applying your ethics, applying your leadership skills, etc. And you are then expected to log those competencies in what's called a portfolio of evidence, a POE. So you can't actually pass the POE. You have to meet the requirements of the POE. And those competencies are listed by the, we call them an RCA, the Registered Candidate Auditor, together with their registered auditor looking over their shoulder to check that it's correct. And they actually list the experience, the client names, what they've done, engagement letters, how they've applied as a 315 and all the other important ones. And then our team looks at that every 6 months. At the end of the 18 months, our team looks at it to make sure it's correct. It gets sent to 3 independent RAs. None of them know who the other one is. It then gets evaluated by the Audit Development Committee. It gets recommended to the Education Committee. So it's 3 RAs. It's about 8 people on the Audit Development Committee and 10 people on the EDCOM. So being a regulator, the process of qualifying to register as an RA through the ADP is obviously quite strict and quite rigorous. So you're not going to be able to fly under the radar with your portfolio of evidence with almost 20 people looking at it at one particular time.
Can I ask you for clarity? I'm going to explain it back to you and you tell me where I've got it wrong. Okay, so I know one route. So one route is this person, starting off at EY. So often, so this example is now EY, and EY takes in, say, 20 people. And they say, and they may be graduates, and they say, great, I'm going to put you on an ACCA audit route. So you are going to be working for me. So now while you are working, you are actually getting your PE, practical experience requirements. Now you're doing number 2 while you're working. And you are studying.
You can do that. Your training contract, if you're on the audit route, also gets registered with the RBA. So you become, you get registered as a trainee with the ACCA, but you are also registered as an audit trainee with the IRBA.
Now I'm working here, and I'm working, and I'm studying, and I'm working, and I'm studying, and I'm working, and I'm studying. While I'm doing that with Ernst & Young, I'm actually working on number 1 and number 2.
Correct.
Now I'm finally done. I'm now got my SAAQ. I've now got my audit qualification, which is this thing. We said 1 + 2 gives you 3. Now my company goes and says, all of you who've now made it to step number 3, well done. I am now going to put you on real audits. You are now going to do number 3. Number, oh, God. This wasn't number 3. No, you've now got this, sorry, which is this.
Yeah, 1 and 2 is just one complete package. It looks like a little puzzle when you put it together.
Yes.
Because it's all your exams, it's your exemption, it's your ethics.
And then they say, great, you have now done 1 and 2. I'm now going to put you on real audits, which means I'm going to register you. EY registers you on the IRBA's Audit Development Program.
With the IRBA. So now you move away from ACCA.
Yes.
You move
now
to the IRBA.
Country and IRBA.
IRBA.
IRBA, IRBA, sorry, us, yes, you. Okay, totally clear. So I'm working at Ernst & Young. They took me in with them. I'm studying my ACCA qualification. I'm doing number 1 and I'm doing number 2. When I'm done with that, I get my South African audit qualification, and Ernst & Young then says, great, all of you brilliant people, I'm going to put you on real audits. You're now with IRBA or IRBA, and you're going to do your audit development program. And when you are done, you are then a registered auditor in South Africa. Now, the other way around, and this is where I need some help, is I am a student studying ACCA and I'm working somewhere. I am getting some experience. I'm now getting my PER. And I'm doing this and I'm doing that. Now, say half of our audience are people that are studying ACCA. Now, when I'm done and I have now got my, how does this do? And I've made the right selection. do I then find myself an employer who is registered to put me on the audit development program?
So yes, there's two or three options here, or things happening. One is you are most except for those 15, all of ACCA's employers are doing the general PER,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So you have one scenario where now employer number 16 is applying to ACCA to be employer audit. Some of those competencies in the PER may very well already be in line with one of those 9 audit competencies.
Yes.
Because most practices do accounting and audit. Most of them have been using ACCA trainees on audits, even though not formally and officially, etc., etc. So I think ACCA's approach to the PER, that would need, it normally requires engagement from the actual supervisor.
I see.
In our case, for audit, that supervisor does need to be an RA. And therefore, I made the point that at the moment, it is the firms that are currently registered with IBTC and therefore registered with IRBA for the IBTC audit route that are also taking on ACCA trainees. And that's excellent. That's an excellent approach because you're using what you've got as an employer and branching out and providing a route for other people to join the audit program. Remember, firms are struggling to attract people and retain people for audit, and therefore they welcome in the new route. That's the one thing. The other one is your PR may be done in a corporate that has nothing to do with practice.
Yes.
And then you probably are going to, towards the latter part of those audit competencies, you are going to struggle. You may have the basic accounting, you may have the basic...
Would you then recommend that you then move to an audit
done
firm?
with PER. You would have to be with approved employer audit.
I see.
To do the ADP from a corporate, you can do that. We do have an opportunity for that. But then the ADP is 18 months. But I do need to say that of the 589 RCAs that we have, we only have one that moved from a corporate. He was specialized in tax. He didn't do the audit, that audit qualification. He didn't do those 9 audit competencies.
Yes.
So he's
I
80,
see.
he's 30 months. He's
How
30
much?
months.
30.
Yeah. 30, 30. But
it makes total
that's
sense.
the exception, you know?
Yes. If you go,
It takes long enough. We don't want you to take even longer.
Yes, but also you are now building a career. Things take time. You want to be sure that you're very good at it. And it's not as if your life stands still while you're doing your ADP. You are learning a lot of skills. You're growing. You know, we all started quite, I don't want to say small fries, but I started at the bottom of the ladder, and this is where we start and then we grow. So you either typically students, you would say, would start at a intake at an audit firm, or if you're not one of those students and you're busy with ACCA and you're working not for an audit firm, at some point you will want to move into an audit firm, and then your ADP is much longer.
And I mean, we welcome that. People find auditing an exciting opportunity, because the more people we have coming into audit, the better it is for the profession. We do see our register is declining, largely due to immigration, actually. But in some instances, also people retiring. The register does have a large percentage of people over the age of 55, and they may feel that they also want a career change towards the end of their career.
Yes.
So
I do feel that auditing is one of those sought after and highly regarded professions in South Africa.
Yes.
Isn't it? When you're at a bride, so what do you do? And you're like, oh, it's probably why you live in this big house and have a smart car. It's one of those professions in South Africa where you just, it's one of the elite. I think it's what I want to call it. I want to call it an elite
It's
profession.
definitely the pinnacle of the profession. You know, if you think of, if you took what you did in the blocks and you did them in a triangle, once you're an accountant, your final step is really to be a registered auditor. in the
Yes.
auditing
Yeah,
space.
registered.
If you're in corporate, I think your final step is probably CFO, even CEO.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to say, and this is, I've got a very strong education background, that the training that you encounter in audit is such an amazing training ground. Apart from the technical audit itself, the ability to actually apply one auditing standard to a variety of clients and companies is such an amazing skill to learn, because it's that analytical skill that employers are looking for. So even if you finish the audit qualification, become a registered auditor and want to change, that grounding that you've got there, the discipline, the deadlines, the ability to multitask, the ability to project manage, the ability to deal with people at different, those are amazing
Makes
skills.
you work in a different way,
A
right?
different way. And you never lose that.
Nadine and I are going to talk about this forever because we both love education.
Okay, so I think although we went off script,
no, I want to say,
going to shout at afterwards. I think we've covered up stuff.
Yes, I always say it's like you have a tool belt. Now, when you're at the bottom of the ladder and you haven't studied a lot, and maybe you've done your matric, your tool belt is quite empty. Then you go to university, and if you're lucky, you learn something or a bit of critical thinking, and you add to your tool belt. And then as you start working and as you start doing these professional qualifications, you add things to your tool belt. And that is what you were talking about when you meet deadlines or learn how to interact with clients, or you learn how to, what did you say? Very impressive. Meet one standard across different industries.
You take any international audit standard has to be applied with different clients, whether it's a body corporate,
and
whether
it's
a public,
it goes into your life,
a listed company. You have to interpret that standard to meet the context of that client. And that's, apart from it being analytical, that's very exciting. Your job is always exciting. People think auditing is boring.
Multiple ways.
They think it's boring. I don't think it's boring.
No.
If you have to apply something differently, at any point in time, you have 5, 10, 13 clients. That must be so exciting. How does it fit with the school? How does it fit with the body corporate? You may be living in a complex that's a body corporate, or you know somebody that's a director at a listed entity. How would that standard apply there? And that's why I like the practical nature of the ACCA modules, and that at the strategic professional level, it's all case study driven. So you're not learning pat off. You're not regurgitating information. It's at a case study. You get a practical case study. And that's an exciting way to learn and to write an exam. Anyway, Nikki, you and I have spoken enough, I'm sure.
Okay, fantastic. So very exciting, and thank you for clarifying and sharing. I think it was a long journey to get to this point, and I'm so excited that we are here now. I think it is fantastic for IRBA. I think it is fantastic for South Africa. I think it's fantastic for ACCA. Great for the profession. As you're saying, you've become very good, then they steal you, or you want to go overseas. And we just need more people to learn these skills. I just generally think why our goal is to put more qualified auditors out there is because we think it's a very big vision, but it will be good for the country to have people with that ethics and that thinking.
I even say, ACCA as an certified accounting technician. At IBTC, I worked an accounting technician. And why I was passionate about that is that if you can get people to understand a code of ethics at that very basic bookkeeping level, when they log that first invoice in the correct ledger, when they write out a receipt instead of not writing out a receipt, there starts your ethics. There starts your wanting to do the right thing. Because you do know that even in municipalities, the municipalities fall down not at an audit level only. It starts with internal controls. So yes, I firmly believe that having a professional designation in accounting will uplift generally the ethical conduct of everybody around them. Because eventually in any business, everybody's got to go through the accountant.
We've learned that.
Somebody's got to sign something off, right?
I
So,
have learned
so
that.
if that
Yes,
accountant
absolutely.
holds that high ethical standard, then we
Yes.
should see
Yes,
less
absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to have a
corruption.
whole
Yes.
session on ethics. And then some
Thanks,
sessions, I
Nikki.
believe, with some employers as well at some point. But okay, so to bring us back to the purpose of today, we wanted to tell you more about IBTC and our hearts and who we are and how we help students. And we wanted to tell you why ACCA is a great qualification. And then we also wanted to tell you about ACCA's new qualification, which is the registered auditor for auditing. So truth be told, we don't all want to be auditors. But so there are many other reasons to study ACCA, right? It's a great way for you to just qualify as an accountant and leave your further options for later. Yeah? And somebody is screen sharing. Okay. So it's just if your goal is I just want to become a qualified accountant. It's a great way to do that. Remember, it holds worldwide recognition. What are the other things that I like? It will totally help you progress in your career, possibly up to C-suite level if you wish. And I like that the qualification includes technical finance skills, but also leadership and strategy skills. So important with today's AI environment, if you like. So anybody who's interested in pursuing the ACCA qualification to become an auditor or not, you can contact IBTC after this presentation or during the week. We literally just an email or a phone call or a chat away. And then we can just chat about your exemptions and your starting point or any questions that you have. Our hearts are just to help people. You can call us and ask us anything. You don't have to buy from us or do anything. We just ask us because we know we've done all the learning and we can definitely help you. ACCA does recommend that you study with an approved tuition provider because that just helps you to progress faster and to stay on track and to make the right decisions along the way. Shame we've had people start at the wrong level and they didn't know. And then by the time they wanted to register for the exam, ACCA said, no, but you can't sit this exam. Oh, so just what is my favorite saying is plan, do, ask for help. So asking for help is a leadership skill. Okay, so ACCA...
Sorry, there's a couple of really nice questions in the chat that I thought I think Nadine will probably be better positioned to answer. Do you mind if I ask a few?
No, absolutely, go.
Okay, so Nadine, this is from Kutso. How can I be assured that I'm doing over ADP after getting my SAAQ? Does it depend on my employer whether I enroll for the over ADP?
So yes, it does. Remember that the employer needs to have the correct level of work for you on audits. So do you have to work together with your employer to register you on the ADP because they have to agree to give you actual audit work in that 18 months. The work that the auditor does is that they supervise your audits and therefore are also at the same time supervising the work and what you write in as your competencies on the portfolio of evidence. So it's not as much work as the training officer because you as the registered candidate auditor on the 18-month ADP, you take responsibility for writing up the competencies. But the simple answer is yes, it does depend on the employer.
Thank you. And there's another question from Mercedes. When doing the audit development program, is it similar to like SAICA's PVAs and PVAAS, where you have competencies to check off through the 18 months, or is it mainly just an audit exclusive exposure setup?
So your PVAs and your PVAAs are part of your training contract with SAICA, which already has to be completed when you come onto the ADP. The ADP has two areas. They have technical and they have non-technical. So non-technical is similar to your professional values, your ethics, etc., and how you apply that. That is all stipulated in. We have a very structured portfolio of evidence document that we give you. So it's not a guessing game, it's upfront. We want you to know what we want you to know in order to be a registered auditor. So it's not a guessing game, it's not a trick. It's clearly spelled out in the portfolio of evidence. Nikki, if you want us to do an actual ADP workshop presentation,
Yes.
we've got lovely presentations on that. And on our website, we've actually got nice videos. But we've even got a learning video, an e-learning video, where you get a little certificate at the end
Oh,
if you
wow.
answer the right questions during the e-learning that says, now I understand what the ADP is.
Ah,
We
yes.
can
I
do
will
that
what are you doing
in
next
a
week, Thursday?
We can do it with our ADP team.
Yes.
And I love the way that they do it because they're just so passionate about it, and they'll be able to give you all the right practical information. Not that it's a difficult process, but they'll
Yes.
explain exactly how rigorous. We visit the firms. We support the registered candidate auditor throughout the process. As I said, it's not a guessing game. We want you to finish the program.
I thought
You don't actually fail. We've only had, in the time I've been there, in fact, it started in 2015. We've only had 5 people deregister themselves from the ADP.
But it's people, not people who fail, as you explained it to me. It's people
You
who
can't really fail if you
decide
stay
they
on
don't
the
want to do
program.
this anymore. But I thought the person who asked the question, sorry, I can't see the question. I thought that question was more related to the PDP. Are you talking about the PDP? PDP workshop.
No,
And this is the
I
ADP.
spoke about the
I completely had
ADP
it wrong.
workshop.
Which workshop are we going to do? You're talking about ADP. So I thought the person's question related to, no, that section is the PDP, where we've got list all the things you must be able to do. You must prove your competence. You must,
Professional
we
values.
felt like that question was about the PDP. Yeah, whereas the audit development program is where you do
the question on PVA is professional values and attitudes. It's part of the ICCA training program. ICCA assesses their trainees on PVAs. The ADP is after you've completed your PDP, your training contract, / what people used to call articles. The ADP is completely separate. The ADP is only managed by the RBA, and your professional body prepares you. We've accredited ACCA to prepare you to be ready to become a specialist auditor. We then take
your
over
articles,
from
this PDP.
Your PDP is what used to be called articles, training contract.
Articles, training contract. This is where with the registered provider, with the registered
I think
employer.
People that have got funding call it learnerships. It's all the same.
Contract,
it's all the same.
Learnerships. And this is
It's
all the
3
things
years.
you do to get your audit qualification.
Correct.
And it's almost like saying, correct me if I'm wrong, on this side of the fence over here, audit development program is where real life audits. I'm now letting you operate on people. You can now, this audit development program, but you cannot operate on people or go to companies and do audits until you haven't done number 1 and 2, which gives you the South African audit qualification. Now, I cannot let you operate on companies and people unless you have done this thing called articles, which is now called professional development program.
Yes, so let me take your medical example in a different way.
Yes.
I wanted to, you're a general practitioner.
Yeah.
So the doctor you go to when you have a cold, but then there's something else, something more wrong with you that they don't know what that is. If you're a child, you go to a pediatrician.
Yes, specialist. This is actually such a nice example.
If you have something wrong with your knee, you go to what's this person called now? The name escapes me. So your general practitioner, and then you become a specialist. So in medicine, that specialist period is normally obviously much longer, 5 years, 8 years, ENTs, audiologists.
And in the specialist era
surgeons.
program, You get to cut people open, but somebody's watching you. I'm watching because I need to fix if it goes wrong.
Like, you have to choose the violent route here, Nikki. Auditors are much gentler than that, but
I
yes.
know.
You get
Yes,
to open the books, you get to
only if you've
operate
got
on the
nothing to
books,
hide. Only if you've got nothing to hide.
you get to inspect the books, but somebody's making sure that you are doing it correctly. And what you're
Yes.
doing with audit is you are taking your knowledge of independent, the international auditing standards, and you are taking that knowledge and you are applying that to a set of financial statements. You know, is the fixed asset amount correctly stated? You know, have you applied ISA 315? Have you applied, are there any material misstatements, etc., etc.? So if you think
So
of
Khutso
Tongaat
says,
Ulat, the problem with Tongaat Ulat is that they
yeah.
overstated the yield crop of the sugarcane fields going forward. And therefore, they
Somebody has to pick it
boosted
up.
the value of Tongaat Ulat to encourage investors. So the auditor's role is to protect the investor. So the auditor should have seen, well, hold on, that doesn't really make sense, but in a technical way. So they use specialists. They will engage with drone specialists to see how did you project that yield crop. It seems a bit overstated. And they will use the various auditing standards to inspect each amount in those financial statements to protect the investor, to protect the public interest. Because you don't want to invest in a company that seems to be doing well, they're actually not. And there are many other examples, unfortunately, of not necessarily audit failures, but also corporate failures, where the corporate has put forward financial statements that are misstated, and that misleads the public. And that's what the auditor needs to do.
Devastating consequences.
Absolutely.
Can you help me answer Khutso's question, because I'm...
Sorry, Nikki, I've got another good question here. I'm trying to get them in order for her. So next question is, what if you, Nadine, if you complete all the exams for ACCA, all the requirements, before the 3 years of PER time requirements, can you use the available period for ADP, or does it have to be 3 years PER and then 18 months ADP?
Yeah, you've got to finish that line, that blue line that's drawn there.
Cool.
You've got to be finished with everything, and then you register for the ADP.
Okay.
So
And
for
then
instance, we can't have you coming into the ADP if you haven't done any kind of preliminary work on preparation of the tax amount.
no.
You're going to audit that.
Which is what
So
you do in
you
this
can't audit
PP.
something that you haven't been able, that you yourself couldn't prepare. So that's suddenly that's a fair example, but you have to be finished with everything. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and then just want to find out, if I want to follow the audit route, must your PDP also be audit related, or can it be any finance or accounting and only do the audit when you do your ADP?
So preferably you should have done your practical training in an audit firm. So what happens in South Africa is that the firm selects their elective. So 90% of SAICA's training officers, office as in physical office, if you can call it that, they select audit as their elective. But you can have audits, practical training that's done in corporates, Vodacom, the banks typically, etc. And ACCA has a number of employers that are training in corporate. If you've done all of the things up to the blue line in any other environment that's not audit, you can still apply for the ADP, but then your ADP will be 30 months. Naturally, because you may not have the exact underlying competencies that a person would have had in an audit firm. Because what you do in a corporate is very different. Corporate is preparing the financial statements that the auditor is going to audit.
Yeah. So this
Whereas in the audit firm, you're already practicing on those audits as a trainee.
It's becoming very clear to me. It's you do your ACCA exams. You're either in an audit firm or you're not, or you're working at an
Yes.
ordinary company or you're not working, whatever. You do your ACCA exams. Then you have to do your experience. You're either lucky and you work at EY or somewhere in an audit firm, then fantastic. When you've completed that experience, you get your qualification. You can step over the line with your company and they sign you up for the specialist.
Yes.
Audit development program. If you are at a corporate, and with corporate you mean it's not an audit firm, you work for what was Vodacom?
Yeah,
Then
sometimes
great.
it's not big firms, but they're just not doing audit.
Just not doing audits. Maybe you're doing tax, but maybe you're doing something completely different. But you're working at a corporate, then this you still do you then still go to an audit firm eventually?
Yes.
You will
Yes.
then leave that corporate, is that right? And go
Correct.
find yourself an audit firm, because
Correct.
only the audit firm can put you on the ADP. I think that is
Correct.
the big thing for me, the big take
So
out.
analogy of the doctor, you
Mm?
can only become a specialist surgeon in hospital.
Yes, you have to go to this hospital and
Correct.
do
You
it.
can't sit there in your office and learn and
Yeah.
study and look at
The,
videos and
the
become a surgeon.
hospital
You
in this
eventually
example
have
is
to
the
get into
audit
the
firm.
surgery.
The scalpel is the calculator.
Let's not put them off now, Nikki. We're doing a good job encouraging them.
Blood on the walls. No, it's
Nadine
totally
here.
clear to me. I can totally explain it to anybody now.
Good.
Yes.
Nadine, here's a very interesting question. If you, in your opinion, and if you can't answer, that's totally fine. Do you think someone going through the audit route through ACCA versus ICA, do you think you'll be disadvantaged at all going through the ACCA route as opposed to SICA, the audit route? This is a question from someone on the chat.
I'm assuming the disadvantage means in terms of opportunities.
Yes.
So I don't think so. I think at the moment the firms are taking on small numbers because it's something new. They have to adjust their systems to some extent. And also ACCA is quite rigorous in terms of them meeting the requirements to be an audit firm, because we have instructed in that way. They have had to be accredited, noting that they have to make sure that their firms can provide those 9 competencies for audit. So I don't think so in the long run.
I think once you're a
Secondly,
registered auditor, it's like when you've got your degree or your MBA, people don't say
yes,
yes, but what
once
mark will
you're
you get on that
registered
test?
auditor, you're now with IRBA. There's no ACCA or SICA. You're a registered auditor.
Yeah.
With IRBA, and there were two ways
In
to
a
get
way,
there.
yeah. So the SICA route has a different route. So it's, as you know, it's a SICA accredited degree only, and then your IBTC, and then your APC. ACCA, once you finish your degree, if you get your 9 exemptions, you basically have 4 exams to write.
Yeah.
Whether you go in the audit route or not, the first 2 is already a given, like I say. And also, I think with ACCA, the opportunities to write are more regular. You have 4 times a year. Of course, if you're going to write all 4 in a year, you probably need to lock yourself up in a room and not do anything else. But it does allow for, I think, those people that may have missed the mark slightly. Say, okay, I can write that module or that exam again in 6 months, as opposed to waiting a year. And I think that the support levels are different. It depends what you need. It's very much an individual choice in the academic part. What do you really want? What type of learner are you? What type of support do you have? Where are you in your career? So you need to measure that. But at the qualified level, no. So what's important is that, and I like the way that diagram is done. When we accredited ACCA, we did not compare ACCA to SICA's program. It was a big question, and it's a big misstep in people's minds. The ACCA, everybody has to meet IRBA's competencies and IRBA's requirements for accreditation. So they are equal to the IRBA in terms of what IRBA is looking for for the ADP and then for the RA.
And I like what you say, once you get there, you leave SAICA and you leave ACCA behind. That was your methodology or your road to get there. And now
Correct.
you are with IRBA, you are now a registered auditor.
Yeah.
Nice way to put it. Okay, I think we're just going to finalize one or two more questions because it is getting late. So sort of second last question is, if you complete the ACCA step 1 and 2 and you are now SAAQ, you're currently working in an audit firm as management. Do you need to wait 18 months to submit your portfolio?
So once you finish your SAAQ, then if you're particularly if you're at an audit firm, they will then decide to register you on the ADP. That's month 1, day 1. And then it takes 18 months to finish the ADP. Let me just say this one other rider. If you've done all of this in the past, right, and you already have some audit experience post-qualification, then, and your registered auditor says, oh, I've easily done some of these things, you could have some of those months taken off the 18 months.
Okay.
But not from your practical, not from your trainee part. When you're qualified and you're actually working on audits already with the audit manager, with the senior partner, but they say, oh gosh, wait, we forgot to register you on the ADP. That can be taken into account. It's probably not a scenario at the moment for ACCA candidates, but it could be a scenario going forward. And it could be a scenario for qualified ACCA members that are in a different age category in terms of being ACCA members for a while, working in an audit firm, but did not have the opportunity to sign off audits because ACCA was not yet accredited by us. So there's a number of, I know ACCA is very active in looking at all those scenarios and determining how that, similar to what you mentioned, Nikki, where do you fit in? How do you slot in? ACCA is also looking at that in terms of that SAAQ. Can I just mention one more small thing? Because the AAA is an international exam, there is a short course that students will need to do to cover the audit regulation in South Africa, like the APA, the King 4, and so on. But it's not a whole nother exam at the moment. In the future, there will be a AAA South African variant, similar to the tax and the law. But that will come much later on as the numbers grow and ACCA is able to develop a South African variant for the AAA. So at the moment, what you've got is the international AAA, and then I don't know what they're going to call it. We call it a competency-based submission, just to cover the South African specific audit legislation, like the Audit Profession Act and so on.
Yes. And that's small in the bigger scheme of things.
Yeah, and that makes sense, it just makes sense. It allows that student and trainee to be more equipped while they're in the practical environment, and then they apply that in the practical environment. So we believe we've covered all the bases to get them ready for the ADP.
Can I ask you one weird question? Because I think I know the answer, but maybe I don't. It's Khutso's question. He says, okay, so not everybody can be a registered auditor because the employer chooses if they enroll you on the ADP or not. What if you worked really hard in your articles and you feel you deserve it? Then are there instances where, say, Insigne would take 20 people and they all make it through you make it to the line. You've now done number 1, number 2, you've got everything, you made it to the line, and they say, I'm not going to put you on the ADP, I'm sorry.
So you could move to another firm. Unfortunately,
But
what we will try and do in the future is influence that more people need to be on the ADP.
But does it happen regularly? Would you say out of a class of 100, they would say, I'm only going to pick 10 on the ADP? It's not really, I think, the heart of it, is it? It's mostly...
I think it's difficult for employers to put everybody on the ADP. So let's say 2,500 people pass the APC exam, which is SAICA. I don't have stats yet for ACCA, right? So don't think I'm skewed towards ICA.
Yeah.
Of those 2,500, the firms cannot put everybody on audit.
Yes. And
You
everybody
understand?
doesn't want to be on audit.
Yes. So it's a catch-22. Some of them stay. Also, they may stay in training before going on to the ADP. The timelines are not a science. It's not exact.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
very circumstantial. Remember, the ADP has to have the context of actual audits. So if the employer has a certain number of audits, they look at how many hours they need from an audit person, an audit trainee, the RCA, and then they work from there. So we will start speaking to employers more about this in terms of how they are choosing, how they are limiting. Just to say the cost is being taken away from the employer. For the next 2 years, we've had 1 year, there is no ADP fee. So employers
Okay.
can't say it's going to cost me money. What it is going to cost him, though, is time.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
they
It's an
do spend a
investment
bit
into
of
that
time
person.
supervising. Correct.
Fantastic.
So they don't make the choice necessarily out of spite or out of not wanting to give opportunity. It sometimes is contextual. It depends how many
Totally like life.
work. Yeah.
Yes. And I would often not worry about
Just work hard and show
just
yourself,
work
do
hard,
the
do your
normal
best.
stuff.
Your destiny will find you. Maybe you don't even like auditing. Maybe you go a different route. But it will all work out in the end. And if it hasn't worked out yet, it's not the end yet. Okay, I am going to let everybody go because everybody's probably very hungry. I want to thank Robert for participating, for my IBTC team, for fielding the questions, for Luca for arranging a very nice attendance, and Nadine, you are our rock star. You are our Robbie Williams today. We have a he's doing a show here, and the whole
Yes.
Cape Town is a buzz. But so thank you very much. Thank you for explaining it, and we hope to see you a lot more in our sessions. And I am very excited to see that so many people are interested in it. And next we will do some, what was it, PDP, PDR, RDP. We will get to unpack all of that alphabet soup, and also do some sessions with employers and audit firms.
So, and if you have any questions that you get that need to come through to me, please send them through.
Fantastic. I will do that.
Thanks for the opportunity and good luck, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you
Nadine.
very
We
much.
hope to see you on the other side of the line now that Nikki's drawn that line.
Cut them open. Okay, now I'm going to go now. I'm getting a bit crazy. It's very late. Thank you, everybody, and good night.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Nadine.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You guys, bye.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.